On January 2, 2016, Saudi Arabia executed a top Shia cleric, allegedly for his role in anti-government protests. Iran, which is predominantly Shia, immediately condemned the killing, as did a number of human rights groups. Soon after, Iranians stormed the Saudi embassy in Tehran, leading to Saudi Arabia cutting diplomatic ties with Iran. With extreme rhetoric flying back and forth, many worry that the two countries may end up in an all-out war. So, what would happen if Saudi Arabia and Iran went to war? Well, for decades, both countries have exemplified the Sunni-Shia divide in the Middle East. Since 2015, they have fought a proxy war in Yemen, with Saudi Arabia and the U.S. supporting the former Yemeni government and Iran supporting the rebel faction. In the event of an actual direct conflict, however, the landscape would be very different. Both countries are massive and are only separated by a few miles of Persian Gulf. Iran covers roughly 600,000 square miles, while Saudi Arabia occupies about 800,000 square miles. They also have very high GDPs, with Iran ranking around 28th worldwide and Saudi Arabia at number 19. However, Iran's population of roughly 80 million people is more than 2.5 times the size of Saudi Arabia's population, which is less than 30 million. So how does this translate into an actual conflict? Well, considering their geographic locations, the two countries are close enough for a massive land battle. In this regard, Iran could potentially demolish Saudi Arabia with more than 2.3 million available military members compared to roughly 250,000. On the other hand, it isn't necessarily manpower that wins wars, and in the modern age, technology may be a more likely ally. While Iran spends about $6 billion a year on defense, Saudi Arabia spends about $50 billion more. That's quite a lot of tanks, planes, boats, and bombs. But realistically, this would not be a conflict in a vacuum, and any deficiencies that each country may have can be easily bolstered by the support of surrounding and geopolitically involved countries. Unfortunately for Iran, the Sunni-Shia divide would likely be a deciding factor for most Middle Eastern countries. Pew estimates that as many as 90% of all Muslims subscribe to the Sunni faith. In fact, the only countries with a Shia majority are Iran, Iraq, Bahrain, Azerbaijan, and possibly Yemen. But in the days since the execution, Bahrain has cut ties with Iran, along with a majority of the Gulf Cooperation Council, which includes some of the most powerful countries in the Middle East. Iran has also long seen hostility with Israel and the United States, the latter of which is a direct ally of Saudi Arabia. In the end, despite a surplus of manpower, Iran's geopolitical position is much weaker than Saudi Arabia's, and without significant support, there's almost no chance of an Iranian victory. There's a lot more to Saudi Arabia and Iran's rocky relationship than just one execution. Find out more about the two countries' fight to control the Middle East in the video at the top. Learn about why their conflict began in the video at the bottom. Thanks for watching TestTube News. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos. We'll see you next time.